All right. Good evening, everyone. This is your girl, Nodella Sacagawea Jordan, coming forth with another intimate talk, book talk, where we have intimate conversations through books. Tonight, my featured author is Theodore L. Crawford, who is the author of A Time to Remember. I don't know about y'all, but I tell you, I was truly excited when he accepted, and even the fact that when he reached out, we was talking a little bit behind the scenes about his book, and I was talking about how just looking at the covers of his book, for those of y'all who is in my age range, y'all know what we grew up through. And so just looking at the cover, already got me feeling warm and fuzzy. So I'm really interested to hear what Theodore has to say about his book tonight. So we are going to start off. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight. I encourage you to please share and invite others to take part in tonight's intimate talk, book talk, intimate conversations through books. So we are going to start off with, I'm going to ask Theodore to share some things about himself. I'm going to ask him to share his author journey. And then we're going to have Theodore to share some of what he wrote in his book, A Time to Remember. So again, thank you so much, Theodore. It is great to have you with us on tonight.
Let me first say what an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. What a pleasure, what an honor it is to finally have an opportunity to interact with you. I want to also say congratulations to you and to your success as being a writer as well. And this platform that you have right here, it's such a phenomenon, and it's something that we definitely need in the writing industry. So this is something else. So thank you for this opportunity. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then if you want to just cruise right on in and tell us about your journey as an author in writing A Time to Remember.
Sure, absolutely. Theodore Crawford, born and raised in Baltimore. I grew up in South Baltimore in an area called Cherry Hill.
I know that.
How I got into writing, my biological father named me after Langston Hughes. So my middle name was Langston. Okay. Now, with that being said, I really did not appreciate it at an early age. It wasn't until probably like in my 20s that I began to really dive into it.
Okay.
And I started doing spoken word poetry.
Okay.
That's where I really began to really connect with it. And then from there, by performing poetry and so forth, I kind of came up with some concepts and decided, let me try something else, which is where A Time to Remember came. But in terms of where it started from, it was in me from a very early age. My father gave me that name, so I'm deeply humbled by that.
Okay, awesome. So your middle name is Langston. And, that's phenomenal because my middle name is Sacagawea, and everybody just gets so thrown back by such a name. And they're like, Saka, what? Let me tell you, as a kid, I was called Sakatumi. Still now, some people call me Sakatumi, Sasquatch. I mean, it was just brutal. But, I can relate to your middle name, you being named after someone who was actually a pioneer, because Sacagawea also was a pioneer in her own right, who was part of the Lewis and Clark expedition. And, for those of you who took history and didn't skip class, you know exactly who she is. And she had such an impact on humanity that they finally decided many years after her death to create a gold coin with her and her son, Jean-Baptiste, on it. So it was in circulation some years back. I don't know if the coins are still circulating. But again, so that's something, that we also have in common as well, having been named after pioneers. And I too, like you, didn't understand, what Sacagawea was, I actually did not realize until middle school what my middle name was, because for the most part, at least in our household, we weren't called by our middle names. We were often called by our first name, but it was typically shortened. But I do know people who prefer to go by their middle name, but because I didn't, and like you said, as a kid, I didn't give it too much thought, but it didn't sink in until I got into middle school. But then when I got in high school, that's really when it began to mean something to me. So I definitely understand, what you mean by, as a child, we oftentimes don't understand the things that our parents do until we get older. So share with us a little bit more about your journey in becoming an author. Did you find it difficult writing? Did you experience writer's block? What for those who are aspiring also to become an author, and what are some of the things that they can look to?
Absolutely. First of all, I had to understand, and I didn't understand what it meant to be a good writer.
Okay.
So being a poet, being a spoken word poet, is so different, because you have the luxury and the freedom to kind of just express yourself, and you don't have to worry about qualms or being overly criticized in terms of your writing style or grammar and stuff like that.
Yes.
Whereas when you're writing a novel, everything has to be pinpoint.
Okay.
So I didn't really understand that early on. I didn't understand the process. I didn't understand anything, to be honest with you. All I had was a concept.
Okay.
That was it. That's all I had.
Okay.
So I would go to Barnes & Noble's down at the harbor every day from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and I would just write.
Okay.
And that's how it started.
Okay.
I would just write.
Okay.
Even when it was all done, I just had this manuscript. I didn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
So what I did was I joined a Writers Guild.
Okay.
I joined the Baltimore Writers Guild because I wanted to be involved with other people who can help me, because I had no idea. I had no concept of what it meant to be a good writer.
Okay.
So I did that, and that was a huge help, because I understood editing, I understood publishing, I understood, how to market yourself, the industry. I mean, everything.
Okay.
But this was years. And so this is not something that happened overnight.
Okay.
For those who are looking to write, I will say this. I have a lot of people who come to me when I go to events, expos, and so forth. And I say, well, if you're still in the process, you got to first find your creative space. Everybody's creative space, whether it's in your bedroom, your office, maybe by the beach, and water, whatever it is, find your ideal creative space, because that's where you're going to get the most, the absolute very best. And you owe it to yourself. Yes. Also, whatever it is that you're trying to finish, if you're really passionate about it, see it as it's almost like a parent, and the book or whatever it is like your child.
Yes.
You want to birth it. You want to see it come to flourishing. You want to see it grow. You want to see it develop. You got to take care of it. You got to invest in it. You got to spend time. You got to invest in it.
Yes.
It can't be something that you just kind of throw to the wayside and then I'll get back to it whenever. And the next, months have gone by. You haven't done anything. So you have to take it seriously. Yes. As if, this person, someone's like the pencil. I know it sounds kind of weird, but
I understand.
You kind of have to take it to that extent. So that's how I got started.
Okay, great. All right. So if you wouldn't mind, hold up your book so people can see what your book looks like. And later on in the show, everyone, I am going to post where you can purchase a copy of Theodore's book. Also, I will post his contact information if you want to reach out to him to either ask questions about his book or, ask questions about becoming an author again. So that information will be forthcoming. So without further ado, I know y'all did not tune in to hear me, talk. So we are going to now turn it over to Theodore to just share some of his content. And Theodore, as you read, can you also do a little narration to let us know, what was your thought process at that point in time when you wrote that particular part of the book?
Sure. So when I first wrote A Time to Remember, this is a mystery suspense novel, by the way. It's a mystery suspense.
Mystery suspense.
Yes, the mystery suspense. Now, when I first began the process, that's not what I had in mind. What I had in mind was like a crouching tiger, hidden dragon, kung fu type of yeah. So cats jumping out of trees and fighting, throwing like that. That's kind of that's what I had in mind. But here's a beautiful thing about writing. What began to happen was as I began to write and as you develop the characters, the story began to write itself.
Okay.
The storyline begins. So you're just like a tool. You're just basically kind of transitioning and putting it out there. But it went to a totally different direction.
Okay.
So what I'm going to share with you is the introduction to one of the main characters. His name is Van, and Van was born and raised. Well, he was raised in Hong Kong, in a tiny village in Hong Kong. But his story is really, really remarkable.
Okay.
Now, let me share this also.
Okay.
It is mystery suspense. It is very, very fast paced. However, there is an element of love to the story.
Okay.
It's not love based.
Okay.
It's mystery suspense, but there is an element of love that is very, very, very unexpected, but it's perfect and it makes perfect sense.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're ready.
Okay. All right. I'm going to just read. I'm not going to read the entire chapter, but
sure.
There's a portion of it.
Okay.
So this is Van Long, and this is him introduction for A Time to Remember.
Okay.
For close to an hour, I've been standing in line waiting to get into this club. Club Sticks is one of the hottest nightclubs in Wuxi, but the truth is, I wasn't here to dance. I wasn't here to meet girls. I wasn't here to party. I was here for one reason, and one reason alone. My agency had significant validations that Pakistan leader Yusuf Masharaf was still in my city. He was given direct orders by our government to leave. The PLA ground force, in agreement with the Republic of China Armed Forces, implemented a mandatory leave. The notorious ruler had been linked to an extremist group such as Al-Qaeda and East Turkestan Liberation Organization. Under swift orders, he was instructed to leave, which we were told he did so via his spokesperson. The truth was, 3 months later, he's still here. We've had him under heavy surveillance for some time, and our own prime minister has agreed to illegally deal in trade with the corrupt leader. We also have reason to believe that Pakistan was not fulfilling their nuclear weapons agreement. They've been testing a high-yield weapon which has not been cleared. This warrants a legitimate threat since the growth of their nuclear program has been increasing. They pose a serious threat, and they were inside the club. I was getting closer and closer to the front of the line. The bouncers were twice my age and aggressively checking everyone. 2 goons were at the front of the line, and 3 more were standing at the main entrance. Many waiting in line were teenagers, and some were already drunk or high. The thumping music vibrated the entire block radius. As the kids got closer, the anticipation drew a ruckus. I knew to get past these goons, I had to fit in. I was dressed as one of them, but I'm actually an undercover agent, part of the Chinese Central Military Commission. Through the years, I've made my way through the ranks of Manpower, which is a fighting coalition beyond military. To carry out this mission, we have a team of 28 on standby. Some are in nearby vehicles. Some are working undercover. Just like me, already inside the club. We've been planning this for some time, and it was my responsibility to capture images. I'm almost at the front of the line. While 2 goons were patting me down, this couple in front of me, another guard, were looking directly at me. I offered a smiling gesture, tipped my fitted hat to him. He didn't move or flinch, just kept looking as if he was trying to read me. I finally approached the front and stayed in character. This generation mostly carried the same movements. The nervous motions include the following: fidgety, subtle movements, an unpredictable laugh, hands in and out of pockets, and lastly, the outgoing checking of the smartphone, which was critical since the dependency of social media was like breathing to these kids. These elements may sound insignificant, but with much research, we found them to be common traits in this group. With my team, we researched these simplicities with reoccurring takes. The time has come. I reside in Swishy Town, which is outside of Woodsick City in Jiangsu Province. My parents are Jack and Michelle Lung. They're the only parents I've ever known. I was adopted as a small child and never knew much of anything about my biological parents. As a kid, I've always believed one day I'd meet them. The funny thing is, something was about to happen. I gazed at the stars and noticed a difference in how they were orchestrated. This night was different. Something powerful was happening tonight. The club was 3 stories high. My team studied and knew every foot of this club. We knew where all the rooms were. We knew each exit and all the hidden escape rooms. One of them placed his palms on my shoulder as the other patted me. They were like 2 sumo wrestlers dressed in black suits. Mm-hmm. Who's the DJ tonight? I asked as one grabbed my phone. No pictures. Now, I make myself clear. Oh, sure thing, man. I'll just shut it off for you. So, who's the DJ? Is it DJ Spin? Yeah, I think so. Here's your phone. Again, no pictures. Cool, no problem, man. The one goon who was staring at me came from the other side and stood in front of me. For some time, he didn't say a word until one of the other goons noticed. Yeah, I guess his brother likes Chinese girls. Is that it? Soul brother? As they both laughed. Hey, man, that's cold. You don't do me like that. I've been waiting in this club for an hour. This time, all 3 looked at me and then at each other. Hurry up, Pastor. I even think I see your camera. I'm busting you and that camera. Yep, no photos. I got it. I made my way through the main entrance. The main entrance was a good 12 feet from the line. There I was met by the only skinny guy taking money while distracted on his cell phone. He was having an intense conversation and never even looked me in the eye. Just took my cash and nodded at me to move ahead. I slowly walked in, and at this point, the smell of alcohol and drugs were thick. The hallway had a dim light, and the ruckus from the actual club was heavy. As I made my way towards the party, people were standing and dancing. It was like zombies caught in trance. A few moments later, I was in. The giant room was dark, and the music was like a rhythm and erratic bouncing off the walls. Kids were flinging their arms in the air, but this was hardly dancing. It was like zombies motivated by an offbeat evil. In a matter of minutes, I managed to make my way across the floor and into the bathroom. I went into one of the stalls and spoke into my watch. I'm in. I need you to quickly substantiate the Prime Minister's coordinates. Seconds later, I received a response. Bang, he's on the 3rd floor, the 5th conference room, right across from Brand Buddha Suite. Coordinates, 314-912 North, 120.3119 East. Be careful. Split second later, the doors flew open. Soul brother, what are you doing, man? I recognized his voice. I should have known the goons would be following me. I came out of the stall to adjust my pants. Sorry, guys, I just had a chili donut before I came in here. You may not want to go in there. Close the door and winced, as if having intense stomach pains. Both bouncers looked at each other and frowned as if they were an unbearable smell. They quickly left, but there was no smell. Moments later, I left the bathroom and I needed to get to the 3rd floor, but I couldn't take the main stairs. No way would they allow me there. I knew there was a small exit which leads to the staircase. It was on the other side of the room, which meant I had to make my way again through the dance floor. I did just that. The music appeared to be thumping even louder. Zombies were in full throttle of the music. I tried making my way with as little context as possible. There was hardly enough room. I'd catch an elbow to the ear or kick in the leg as I proceeded. At no time did any of them stop to acknowledge me. Young people on drugs. This was the reality of our people. I found the entrance and made my way through. 20 feet away was a staircase. In seconds, I made it to the third floor. But pause. Bang. The place is flooded with cops. If any of them spot you, they'll kill you. Get the footage and get out. I repeat, get the footage and get out immediately. I didn't respond. I could still hear the music, but it was now at a distance. I looked 3 steps forward and I heard chattering approaching. 2 men were laughing. The door to a side office was unlocked, so I quietly went in. I waited a few moments for the men to pass. As they passed, I turned on the lights. It was a small room mainly utilized by the janitors. In the hidden closet was a small plastic bag. I quietly changed clothes. No one except me knew that I was here, not even my team. I changed into my black shih tzu. Everything I needed was now intact. Sword, grabbing hook, boots, and of course, my hooded cowl. I set my watch to prepare for quick photo shots. I turned off the lights and slowly opened the door. Making my way down the hall, I listened carefully. My heart felt guilty. What I was about to do was against the confines of the administration. My objective was simply to get footage of the Prime Minister to show the UN and our military that he has not left as ordered. That was my mission. But something more urgent must be done. As I stood outside the brand Buddha suite, I listened carefully. There were 2 men talking, and one of the voices I recognized. It was indeed him. Just as I was about to open the door, my watch began to vibrate. I knew it was my team urging me to get out, but I didn't bother. There was dead silence as my forehead dripped with sweat. My hand was on the knob as I took a deep breath. I opened the door and I stepped in. 2 men were sitting in love seats facing each other. One of them jumped out of his seat as I opened the door. The Prime Minister hardly moved. He just remained still. "What are you and what are you doing?" said the other gentleman. Dressed in a dark black suit, he drew his pador, a steel blade that's a special weapon we only use by highly trained soldiers. He stared at me intensely with a striking position. I stepped closer and pulled for my job. It was a traditional double-edged sword handcrafted with one purpose, to strike and destroy. In Wu dialect, he yelled for his Prime Minister to run, but he didn't. He simply lit his cigar and poured out a glass of wine at the bar. "You have no business here. Leave at once." I remained still. I raised my jaw towards his chest. He spoke directly to his microphone and yelled for his guards to come at once. "All right, you will die." I watched as he made his move. He aggressively made several attempts to strike, but after 4 failed attempts, he stopped with a look of shock. Breathing heavily, his eyes studied me carefully. "Who are you? Who sent you?" I came towards him and struck his left wrist. He yelled out and immediately grabbed it with his right hand. The sight of his own blood angered him as he desperately attacked again. I avoided each attempt and slid my pador across his throat. As he dropped his blade, it bounced off the marble floor. He dropped to his knees and fell first. The Prime Minister dropped his glass. In a state of panic, he yelled for the guards to hurry up. Over and over, he screamed for them. I could hear heavy pounding making its way up the stairs. I approached with my blade aimed at his neck. "Listen, I can pay you. Surely you like money, don't you?" He was trying to get me to talk, but I remained quiet. Slowly taking steps towards him, he became more and more agitated. "How dare you? Do you know who I am?" he yelled. Out of desperation, he swung for my head. My elbow caught his jaw and sent him backwards before he fell. I grabbed his tie and pulled him close to me. "Get out of my country." "What?" he cried. "Leave my people, stop everything you're doing, and get out. Don't ever come back. Do you understand?" He didn't say anything. He just looked at the door as the guards were coming and fast. My John struck his right shoulder in intense pain. He screamed out loud. In an instant, I cracked his kneecap and cut off his right ear. At that moment, the door flew open. Shots fired everywhere. But I dove through the window, and in a matter of seconds, I was down the block. I could hear shots being fired through the window. I continued running, stopped at the dark alley. My watch had been going off constantly. I leaned against the wall and whispered to myself, what have I done? Quickly, I pulled off my mask to catch my breath. My next mission complete. Wuxi City is in total shock at the news of Pakistan Prime Minister Yusuf Musharraf. If you haven't heard by now, the notorious Prime Minister was attacked last night at a local downtown nightclub. Police are still questioning several witnesses who were at the club during the time of attack. So far, no arrests have been made, no details on the severity of his injuries. We can confirm that Prime Minister is currently in critical condition at Wuxi Shinabi Hospital. So far, no arrests have been made. The real question everyone is asking is, why was he still here? China officials, along with the UK, had agreed that he was to leave the country immediately following possible indictments on a rank of investigation, including corruption, robbery, and links to drug cartels. Last year on live TV, he famously dared the UN to come get him. It was reported he left the country via private jet, but now reports are circulating that he's been here the entire time. He's been linked to several dangerous terrorist groups, including such as Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab. Again, no arrests have been made, but this attack has prompted an immediate meeting with China officials. I'm John Lin, reporting from downtown Wuxi City. I'll keep you posted. I'll just end it right there.
Wow. I don't know about my viewers. I don't, oh my gosh. Wow. You had me feeling as if I was there. One, because I watched so many Bruce Lee movies, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and then just other Asian films. And I'm envisioning as you're reading, I'm listening to how you also imitate their voices, how they actually sound. Wow. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I definitely got to order my copy tonight for real. And I will be getting back to you. So listening to you read and to establish the scene in the background, what made you start with the content that you did?
Okay, so again, it was supposedly basically a story about kung fu fighting. I mean, and strictly that. That was it.
Okay.
That was it. Like that was the whole premise of the beginning of my novel writing. Okay. And it went into a totally different direction. So what I just now read basically explains who Van is, who's one of the main characters. Okay. And it explains a lot about what he does and his origin. Okay. You know, he's a black male who was adopted, but he was raised all his life in another city and trained to be an assassin. And
not in America, correct?
Right.
So we have a black man growing up in Asia.
Exactly.
Which, for many who may not realize, that was not really a good ideal. I'll say perhaps ideal and maybe even a good situation because of the tension, that existed between Asians and blacks. And yet he managed to grow up in a society, despite those negativities, if you will, but he doesn't grow up as one might think, oh, he, just became a thug, but he became a contributor to society.
Yeah. And back then, now when you go into the whole adoption process, the idea of he was adopted by a wealthy Asian family. Adopting an African American in America, that especially back then was unheard of.
Right.
But in the story, as you read it, you realize that there were some things that was done in accordance with government and intelligence that should not have been done. That was illegal, basically.
Okay.
So a lot of things took place that should not have been allowed to take place, basically.
Right. Okay. Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm just like so excited from what I've heard already. I cannot wait to get my copy. So let me get your book is available on Amazon, correct?
No. That's something that we're working on. Yes.
I'm sorry. No, that's right. It was your website.
Yes, the website. Yeah.
Okay. So it's www.
Theodore
Crawford.com. And your email.
Culver House Publishing. CULVER House Publishing @gmail.com.
Okay. Okay, so you can talk while I type this in the meantime.
Okay. As a writer, one of the things that I understand when it comes to reading, people look, when you're reading something for entertainment, the moment that you feel bored and the moment you get to the point to where you feel like, okay, what's the point? And you start flipping pages, you're done. You're done. You've mentally sort of like checked out. So as a writer, I get that. So what I try to do is be as visual with my imagery as possible. And I also try to really make sure that the writing is very unpredictable as well.
Yes.
It's unpredictable, but it's from a very authentic and surreal place. So me being unpredictable is not a forced intentional in terms of for the sake of being it, but because that's kind of how the story is. It works perfectly that way.
Yes.
So as you read it, you'll begin to be like, wait a minute, how did this happen? How did this happen? But as you continue on, it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Now, I'm in the process of working on part 2 because of the way that this ended.
Okay.
So part 2 will be coming out soon.
Okay. And so Leroy says this book grabs you from the very beginning. Leroy, you are 1,000,000% correct, because I'm listening, and maybe it's because also I'm an author and I understand how you kind of ease your way into the story. And because our goal is to get your attention at the beginning. And let me tell you, you had my attention at the beginning, because I'm like, okay. And see, I am, and you said this is a mystery. And what was the other, is it spy? Or is it just mystery?
Yes. Mystery, suspense, police detective.
Okay.
There is an element of love.
Okay. See, you have all the components that I love, because I love law enforcement. I love law enforcement in terms of, I've watched shows like Walker, Texas Ranger. I love Law and Order, which is my number one. I love all the versions of it, but I love the first version of Law and Order most or best. I watch NCIS, all of the versions as well. So I just love it.
So if I can take you back a little bit, you probably remember, just going by off what you shared earlier, Streets of San Francisco, T.J. Hooker.
Yes. All those shows, yes. So it sounds like it's along those lines, because we also know in those television shows, they also had, like you said, they had their little love story. You know, they would meet that particular person or whatever. Wow. I am just so woo. Wow. So last words, what would you like to leave with our audience tonight? So I've already pinned your information to tonight's page. Listen, everybody, if you are just tuning in and if you did not hear the reading, give the live about maybe 10-15 minutes to process, but you definitely want to go back and listen to the replay. I am telling you, I often tell people when it comes to my books, don't only just consider purchasing the book for yourself, because anybody's book can make a great gift. If you know somebody who loves mystery, suspense, thriller, listen, this would make a great gift. Don't wait for their birthday. Don't wait for Mother's Day or Father's Day, unless their birthday is next week or something like that. But listen, I've had many people who purchased my books throughout the year and gave them away as gifts throughout the year. So don't wait until that special time. Listen, don't rob them. Buy the book now and be a blessing to somebody. But what are some of your last remarks that you would like to leave with our audience on tonight?
First of all, let me just say again, congratulations, Ms. George, to you and your success.
Thank you.
And for having this platform.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just honored and truly grateful to be a part of this. So thank you.
You're welcome.
This is huge. I mean, I said this earlier that you and I had the opportunity to talk before this, how the writing industry has really taken a different turn.
Yes.
And when you read a book, you really want to kind of think about it. When you go to the movies and you're sitting in a movie theater for like 2.5 hours or whatever it is, you're not thinking about nothing. You're not thinking about your bills. You're not thinking about, you know, your job, your career,
laundry, grocery shopping.
You're not thinking about any of that.
Yes.
The only thing you're thinking about in that moment is while you're sitting in that movie theater.
Yes.
Is what is about to happen.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Yes.
In this book.
Yes.
That's what I want in this book.
Yes.
And with any good book, the characters are extremely important. You want to have characters who are believable and likable.
Yes.
And I guarantee you that one of the main characters you're going to connect with.
Okay.
You're going to connect with. You're going to say that person right there, I get where they're coming from.
Okay.
Some of the main characters are very controversial.
Okay.
Are very, very, very controversial.
Okay.
But if you listen to them, you can kind of understand why they are the way that they are. And I think that's one of the things we're missing as well in this society. We don't really listen to one another to try to understand.
Yes.
We're quick to label one another.
Yes.
But we don't really try to understand why their perception is the way that they are.
Yes.
So yeah, this book gives you a lot of that. The ending is very, very, very shocking.
Okay.
But it makes perfect sense.
Okay. All right. So again, everyone, tonight my featured author is Theodore L. Crawford, who has written, no doubt, a masterpiece, A Time to Remember. And again, if you are just tuning in, give the live about 15 minutes to process, but I strongly urge and encourage you to listen to the replay. And Theodore's contact information is pinned to this page. It's also his website where you can purchase a copy of his book. And again, don't just purchase a copy for yourself, or if you feel, well, this isn't quite the book for me, still always consider purchasing a gift for somebody. Books really do make great gifts. And as Theodore and I was talking behind the scenes, and for those of you who don't know, the reason why I created Intimate Talk, Book Talk, because it was something that was birthed from when I was interviewed last year with my 2 books. And I just thought that creating a platform, not so much to interview the author, but I wanted to create a platform to allow the author to read their masterpiece, so viewers and listeners like yourself can get a general idea of what to expect when you purchase a copy of that book. Because I know for myself, they tend to put a certain piece of the book as the promo, but it really doesn't speak as to the trueness of the book. It just may be an exciting piece, and then the person get the book, this is not what I thought it was, and then they don't want it. But you started from the beginning, which I thought was great. That was the beginning you started from, correct? I thought it was great because you're leading us into, and I know for me, it's now got my mind spinning. Okay, what's going to happen next? So, again, thank you so very much. And definitely listen, everybody, this will not be Theodore's last time coming on the Intimate Talk Book Talk. Hopefully his schedule will permit in the future, because I'm sure he's going to get busy. And if I didn't already say, I think Leroy did say, he said, this is a movie in the making. He says, I can't wait. And I'm a person who likes to explore even the unknown. And Leroy, I'm with you there. I can imagine this book becoming a movie of some sort. And everybody, he already told us part 2 is coming out. So we're just getting started. And again, thank you so much, Theodore. I know I enjoyed the reading tonight. And like I said, as soon as we finish the live, I'm placing my order on tonight. So thank you so very much for your time. Thank you so much for your talent. I pray the Lord's blessings upon you. And also, lastly, if there are any other authors up here, listen, y'all can use this platform as an opportunity also to network. Again, Theodore's, his website is listed. His email is listed as so if you want to reach out to Theodore as another author, please feel free. I have no objections to you networking. Please don't use my platform for a dating service. No, but you can use it for networking. Hey, I had to put that piece in there, Theodore, because some people just ain't quite there. But again, please feel free to connect with him. If you want to connect with me, listen, y'all know Girlfriend is all over. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I have multiple pages on Facebook. Y'all know I have Thursday show, Intimate Talk show, where we talk about anything and everything. And, maybe we might even be able to, as I talk to my co-host, to even bring you up there and just, again, bring the awareness of your book. One of the things, because this is also Black History Month, we got to get into the mindset of pushing each other, and others may say, well, why are you pushing other authors? Aren't they your competition? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We are all in this together. And last year I saw somebody posted something along the line that when we push each other, we're actually pushing each other and we're causing people to become interested in books. And again, we have my brother Leroy up here who also have his author showcase. We are one community. And if we don't support, if we don't help and push each other, then our community is going to be divided and it's eventually going to die. Or it's going to have a slow death, as the person had put. And I'm totally in agreement with that. So again, thank you so much, Theodore Crawford, the author of A Time to Remember. And again, those of you who's just tuning in, give the broadcast about 15 minutes to finish processing. But I guarantee you, when you watch the replay, you won't be disappointed. And I'm sure when you order his book, you won't be disappointed double. All right. So everyone, have yourself a blessed evening. Next Sunday, we have another awesome author that I will be featuring. And I look forward to each and every one of you tuning in then. Until next time, stay blessed, stay healthy, and stay safe. Good night.
Recording stopped.